Well, welcome to the Videonet Connected TV Awards 2020. This is our virtual ceremony and it replaces the physical event that should have happened in March, but which was postponed due to coronavirus. My name is John Moulding. I'm the Editor-in-Chief at Videonet. I'm also the Chair of Judges. And over the next hour, we're going to announce the results for each category. And also, in many of the categories, I'm joined by some judges who will help to explain what they liked this year and also why the winners won. Before we start, I would obviously like to thank everybody who entered the awards this year. That was a lot of hard work for the people that enter. And I'd also like to thank our judges, who you can see listed on the screen right now. Now, if you go to Videonet website, v-net.tv, the top story right now is a live award story. And as we go through the entries, we will update that story so that you have a sort of a written list of everything that's been announced so far. So I would encourage you to have a quick look there as well. So the first category is the Premium TV Awards. In this category, only judges can nominate an entry. So none of the companies that you see here nominated themselves. And the whole point of this is to reward projects, services and initiatives that are considered to be outstanding. So let's remind ourselves of the shortlist. We had B and Media for their fight against piracy. BritBox for BritBox, the Walt Disney Company for Disney Plus, and FIFA for Women's World Cup France 2019. The Silver Award, which was also highly commended by the judges, went to FIFA for Women's World Cup France 2019. And the category winner for 2020 is the Walt Disney Company for Disney Plus. So there are the results on the screen. Now, in terms of the FIFA Women's World Cup, I think the reasoning for the judges was that this really helped to put women's football on the map. What we saw was a kind of like a major new televised sporting event, which doesn't happen every day. And the viewing figures were very impressive. I mean, in France, for their quarterfinal versus the USA, they had 11.8 million viewers, and that's a 56% audience share, so of everybody that was watching TV at the time. The Netherlands, in their game against Sweden for the semi-final, they had a 78% audience share for the ladies' football. So, you know, it's made a big impression, and that's why that came second. And for Disney Plus, I mean, when the judges were actually considering this, there were very credible forecasts that Disney could achieve 101 million paid TV subscribers or paying subscribers by 2025. On April the 8th, Disney just recently announced that they had 50 million paying subscribers already. So obviously helped presumably by the lockdown, but nonetheless, they are well on the way to achieving what analysts were forecasting that they would do in 5 years. It's just a big launch. It's a big event for television. Obviously, they have a strong catalogue, but the implications for the pay TV operators and for the existing SVOD providers are very, very significant. And I think it's quite right that this was rewarded with the winning entry. Well, this is our second category, and we're looking at excellence in data analytics, AI or ML, which is obviously artificial intelligence or machine learning. And I'm delighted to welcome Ian Nock, who's the Managing Director and Founder of Van West, and Ben Schwartz, who's Principal Consultant for CTO Innovation Consulting. So welcome to you both.
Thank you. Thanks.
And I think, Ben, we've probably moved beyond theory by some way now. And I think what this category showed us this year is that there are some very specific use cases now.
Yeah, well, I've been in and out of consulting for decades now, and big data has been a promise for 10, 15 years. And some industries have already seen some amazing applications, and we're only beginning to see them now. And it's really exciting. We're going to delve into now what some of those real use cases are of being able to number crunch all that data.
Yeah, I mean, Ian, it's clearly one of the hottest topics in television. I think the category showed that in terms of the great tech we saw. What did you like about it?
I think it's the fact that it shows such a breadth of different solutions that are being used or are using AI and ML techniques, ranging from video encoding all the way through to sort of object analysis and mood analysis of the content itself, all presenting to improving the customer experience.
Okay, well, let's have a look at the shortlist just to remind ourselves. We had 3SS and Media Distillery with their solution for ultra-personal TV. Kaltura with Kaltura targeted TV solution. Cinemedia with smart rate control, content adaptive encoding for live streaming. And Vion Labs with their Vion Labs content discovery platform. So let's take you through the winners. The Bronze Award went to Cinemedia with their smart rate control content adaptive encoding for live streaming. The Silver Award went to 3SS and Media Distillery with solution for ultra personal TV. And the category winner is for 2020 Vion Labs with Vion Labs content discovery platform. So, Ben, I think content discovery features very heavily there, doesn't it?
Yes, well, it's exciting to see these two different angles, but above all, one slight word of caution I'd like to say is that I believe we've had solutions for content discovery that have slightly been advanced of what users have been able to have access to for quite a few years now. And now all of a sudden we're seeing another quantum leap. I mean, these solutions are much more powerful than what we've had in the past. So the user interface aspect of how we bring this to users and how they can actually go about discovering the content is going to be even more critical than it used to be. But just to go back to those two axes, what's quite exciting is this whole problem of navigating a month within a huge volume and overabundance sometimes of content is now happening in these two examples with two different axes, with the 3SS and Media Distillery solution being much more based on the analysis of the video for the content within it, for identifying objects and things like that. And what we picked out from the Vion Labs side, the winner, is more the sort of mood analysis and what the content is actually talking about rather than what's in it. So those are just two examples of what Ian was saying before, of how wide the applications are nowadays.
Yeah, and Ian, I get the impression that the future of platform operators, at least, is both being a super aggregator, but also a content discovery agent. And these kind of technologies that we saw here as winner and silver, they are part of that, really. And the ability to look much deeper into content and to understand it much better. I mean, do you think that is a key role for operators in future? Because we hear, Apple could perhaps go into that market, and perhaps we have to up our game a little bit.
Certainly, it is something which content providers, traditional operators, and even the new entrant ones do need to focus on, because it's all about providing that key advantage in the products that they actually present and the services they present, so that it gives a unique proposition compared to the other solutions that are out there. And everyone's ultra competitive, and this just shows how the boundaries are being pushed.
Okay, and I know you were impressed with the use of machine learning in the encoding domain as well in this category, weren't you?
Certainly. It's because with the growth of high quality content, certainly in terms of more and more streaming with HD, and also including 4K delivery, and even for the future with 8K, that the bit rates that we have to provide and the data content delivery requirements that we have, the fact that we have now a solution which is optimizing for quality and whilst reducing the bit rate necessary to deliver the content is a key competitive edge for the future, particularly now when we're in this particular age with COVID, where we are doing an awful lot more streaming than is strictly what we did in the past, and networks are strained, and not buckling, but strained to support that content. And in many respects, having this smart rate control in place would provide the way to actually manage that quality of experience to the customer better.
Yeah, and I think we saw a very specific use of machine learning in encoding on this one, which was just deciding the optimal settings on the encoder for each piece of content. So we're getting very specific in what AI does now.
Oh, it is, and it is actually about doing things that a human could do if he had infinite time and infinite speed. But the AI applications and the machine learning approach here can apply that technique much more rapidly, and actually apply techniques that a human wouldn't even come up with for optimizing the video encoding quality.
I think the buzzword that may be coming out of that is what we're calling content-aware encoding.
Mm-hmm.
Indeed, yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, I think it was a great category this year, and I know you enjoyed judging it. So thank you both very much for that.
Yes. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, John.
Well, our next category is game-changing advertising technology, and I'm delighted that I'm welcomed by Matthias Berg, who is the Deputy CEO and Head of Advertising at TV4 Media. So welcome, Matthias.
Thank you.
Before we talk about the actual shortlists, when you look around the market generally now, advertising technology, do you see the solutions that you need for TV4 over the next 18 months?
I would say I see a lot of progress, which is comforting. I see a lot of progress in terms of the use of data. I see a lot of progress in terms of creating addressable TV universes. So I see a lot of progress that I think we'll be using in the next 18 months. If I were to have one wish, I would wish that we would start looking more platform agnostic across linear as well as the AVOD space, i.e. looking at inventory management, data platforms, and so on, where we merge linear and digital advertising in one fantastic high quality video space. And I hope that, and I think we see some contestants starting to move in that direction. I hope we'll see even more of that in the coming 18 months.
Yes, that's a big theme for some of our conferences this year. So, okay, well, let's have a look at the shortlist to remind ourselves. So this category, we have agile media with intelligent content recognition, Finecast with Volvo for harmonized addressable TV and digital advertising, Imagine Communications with 9 Network for XG game plan, StreamHub with Broadcaster VOD Data Alliance, and YoSpace and TV4 for server-side ad insertion with MMS tracking. And I should point out that wherever we had a judge who was asked to judge a category where their company were involved in any way, as in this one here, and also when Jeff Ills was asked to look at the Advertising Leadership Award where Sky was shortlisted, the judge isn't allowed to actually score their own entry. Well, it's not their entry, but they're not allowed to score any entry that involves their company. Instead, we take the average score from all the other judges and we apply that score instead. So we ensure that that's fair. So with that in mind, let's see the results for this category. The Bronze Award goes to StreamHub with Broadcaster VOD Data Alliance. The Silver Award was given to Imagine Communications with 9 Network for their XG game plan. And the category winner for 2020 is Agile Media with intelligent content recognition. So, Matthias, what did you see in this category that you really liked?
I'd say that the category in the broader context presented a lot of very interesting concepts, and also, I mean, very important actual use cases from campaigns and customers out in the market. I think we ended up with 3 very worthy top candidates. I mean, StreamHub managing to do what honestly we all need to do. I'd say that at the end of the day, to really put all the power of the TV and video advertising out there, we as competitors need to come together and make inventory more available and data more available across all the channels and platforms. I mean, a big congratulations to the StreamHub guys actually making the transition from competitors only to competitors and collaborators. Very impressive. I really like Imagine Communications contribution. I think they, as mentioned earlier, are walking down the road of looking at TV and video from a more platform agnostic perspective. And I think both from a broadcaster and an advertiser perspective, that is where we need to go. The combined reach and quality of linear as well as digital inventory, but manageable in one platform in everything from inventory management to campaign acquisition and optimization. I mean, that's where we need to be in a couple of years. And obviously, the winner with Agile Media, very interesting. I mean, it's not being an engineer myself, but I can appreciate the technology behind it and the cutting edge technology that goes into making this software actually work. So very interesting. I'm sure that the advertisers is going to benefit a lot from improving their ROI calculations and their campaign targeting using these kinds of services in the future. So I'd say all in all, a very impressive field of entries. And I think the top 3 are worthy of being just there in the top 3. In general, great participants.
Okay, well, that's a lovely summary of the results. So thank you very much, Matthias, for joining us, and it's great to see you again.
Thank you, John.
Well, in this category, we're looking at the contribution to streaming video excellence, and I'm joined again by Ben Schwartz, the Principal Consultant at CTO Innovation Consulting, and also by Erwan Nedelec, who's the Orange Referent Expert and Senior Expert on TV Technical Solutions at Orange. So welcome to both of you.
Hi.
Hi.
Ben, before we go into the results, I mean, in terms of the category generally, we're seeing obviously a long-term trend to more streaming consumption. I mean, did you see things this year that you think will help accelerate that trend?
Well, yes, there was a convergence of a lot of the entrants to do on live aspects, live TV, and we've seen that, you know, in the past, on demand has been a big success on the internet, and the next generation of big platforms is probably going to be much more live oriented, and that's what we've seen in all these entries.
Okay, and Erwan, I mean, without giving any clues to who might have won, what stood out for you this year?
Well, I think we reach a very good level of maturity in that technical domain. The future is more on how to optimize the cost. So it can be on the network side, on the service platform side, on the encoding side. On that mid or more long term, I think major companies will focus on CSR, so for corporate social responsibility, which may also impact how we envision the future solution. Again, it's still optimization.
Okay, well, let's remind ourselves of the shortlists for this category then. First of all, we had Active Video with Active Video App Cloud. There was Enea OpenWave with their Radio Access Network Congestion Manager. Harmonic entered VOS 360 live streaming platform. Kaltura with Kaltura TV platform powering Flipkart video service. And Mainstreaming with the Hypernode. And let's do the results. So the Bronze Award for 2020 goes to Kaltura with Kaltura TV platform powering Flipkart, and that was a service launch. The Silver Award was given to Mainstreaming for the Hypernode. And the category winner for 2020 is Harmonic with VOS 360 live streaming platform. So I'll just show them all there so everyone can see them. So Ben, live video was obviously a key thing in this category. There was an awful lot of live. What are the innovations that stood out for you in this particular entry, the winner, Harmonic?
Well, as you said, live, but I think some of the innovations in the delivery paths, multiple delivery paths of video streams and things like that, will enable it for OTT platforms in particular. And we can now see from 2020 and 2021, you know, some big platforms embracing live content, you know, in a premium TV. They also support UHD HDR, which I think is a is another challenge. You know, how we deliver those amazing premium UHD experiences live OTT. And finally, all the judges and Erwan mentioned earlier on that they were quite innovative in their technology approach. One of the earliest to use containers and microservices in this area. And so we were just quite impressed that, you know, a leading company that one doesn't all expect to innovate would actually do some disruptive innovation in the way they build things.
Yeah, there was also some 8K over 5G in that entry as well. So, Erwan, I mean, what stood out for you from the winning entry or any of the shortlists that you haven't mentioned already?
No, as mentioned Ben, regarding Harmonic, I think they were among the first one to invest in microservices on containers, and they have pretty much good success on their existing product.
Yeah, and containerized microservices, I mean, that's obviously a very big transformation.
Yeah.
I mean, Orange, what are you looking ahead at over the next 18 months in terms of streaming? I mean, where is your head right now?
Yeah, so in terms of streaming, we are still in the optimization. So we are trying to get rid of smooth streaming, which is still supported on some legacy devices. So our goal is to invest on CMAF on HLS, and we also invest on for more on midterm on the CMAF low latency on multicast ABR, trying to take advantage of OTT technologies while still relying on our main asset, which is a multicast network for rendering linear channels.
Okay, the mainstreaming came second in this category. That's a smart video delivery network architecture that reduces pressure on origin servers. And I know they've got some, they can rewrite routing tables during a streaming session, which is quite cool. So I think that kind of covers the trends that we saw this year. And I think that's it's a great lot of innovation. There's no sign of innovation slowing down. Did you get any sense that we're, you know, anywhere like slowing yet? Is it accelerating?
I kind of concur with Erwan that we are in a phase of consolidation and optimization. There's been a huge lot, and I think our awards really show where the industry is. That the small area of true innovation is in bringing, you know, powerful live streaming, making that more what's the word, operator friendly. So that is the innovation, but otherwise under the hood there's a lot of consolidation going on.
Okay, well, thank you both very much for giving us your time. Great insights, and great to see you both.
Thanks.
Thank you, John.
Right, well, our next category is advancing the TV user experience, and we're rejoined by Ian Nock, who's Managing Director and Founder at Fairmile West. And we say hello to the first time to Steve Hawley, who's the Principal Analyst and Consultant at TV Strategies. So welcome.
Welcome, thank you.
Thank you, John.
Ian, before we actually announce the results, what are the user experience trends that you're finding yourself focusing on at the moment when you're dealing with clients?
So the key trend that comes up again and again is actually voice enablement of the UI and how that can be used to positively enhance the user experience for the customer base. And that is pretty much a straightforward across industry trend right now for the last couple of years. The additional trend, of course, is the introduction of Google TV, operator tier TV devices in many operators as well. And that's something which creates its own challenge in the fact that if everyone's using the same base platform, how do you make your unique selling point of your own particular service with that same product? And that's actually the challenge that keeps now coming up, is how do we make ourselves look better and be better than others? And it ties into the use of these additional methods of interfacing, as in using voice, improving the graphical interface itself, enhanced use of metadata, etc.
Okay, and Steve, what did you see in this category that you liked without giving too much away?
Well, I think there's two really broad trends reflected in this group of companies and solutions that we evaluated. One is manageability. So think about the need that operators have and video providers in general have of reaching any screen, anytime, any consumer. It's that promise that we talked about years ago that is finally here. You know, whether we're talking about a small screen, a big screen, a mobile screen, or a fixed one, operators are very concerned about bringing a consistent experience across devices that are enabled for the unique capabilities of that device. So a number of the entries in this category reflect that, in that they talk about manageability across screens and across service experiences. So manageability is, I think, a big theme. And another, I think, is you know, the title of this category is user experience. And when I think about user experience, the default is to think about the end user, the consumer. But there are others in this chain of service creation and delivery that are hidden from view. And those are people that have to manage the experience or manage the advertising and the promotion. Or if somebody, if the operator says, we'd like to introduce a new feature or a new promotional program, that the operator can be light on their feet and be able to address that opportunity very quickly. And so I saw that as those two things were common themes in the category.
Okay, great. Well, let's have a look at the shortlist then, just to remind ourselves. And we had 24i with 24i Video Experience Platform, powering Slovak Telecom service. EPAM with Liberty Global's Horizon 4. Freeview with their accessible TV guide for connected Freeview Play televisions. SES Satellite and OTT in-sync solution. And Tata Sky with their personalized user experiences powered by Think Analytics. So the bronze award in this category went to SES for SES Satellite and OTT Sync solution. The silver award was given to 24i, their 24i Video Experience Platform powering Telekom's Magiogo, Slovak Telecom's Magiogo. And the category winner is Freeview with their accessible TV guide for connected televisions. So, I mean, the thing I would say about the Freeview entry, I've been judging these kind of things for about 15 years, and I've never seen a product that won so comprehensively, had so many first votes from the judges, and it was quite exceptional. So, and Steve, I think the problem, you know, we've had it since multi-channel TV, really. Navigation became so much more complex, and for most of us, that actually made it quite enjoyable, I think. But if you were, you know, if you're visually impaired or you have hearing problems, you know, it just became a serious issue for getting access to something that we all do all the time. So we kind of need these sort of solutions, don't we?
Well, yeah, and I think you put your finger right on the problem. You know, we've been so enamored about making a slick experience. You know, making something that looks really cool on a screen and it's easy to demonstrate, but you know, later when you've actually adopted the solution in your home and you have to use it as a consumer from day to day, you know, thinking about the accessible guide, it's a tactile solution. It's activated by the press on an actual physical key, and there's a large community of people out there that just cannot deal with a screen-based user interface. You know, they're not acculturated to it. They're not familiar with it. It's the same market that would not buy a smartphone, but instead they buy at home we call it a granny phone, something your grandparent would use because it has buttons like the old-fashioned feature phones had. And I can't say enough about how there's absolutely really no innovation in this solution, and that's probably the key point. The innovation is hidden. It's and I can go on and make other complimentary remarks about it. I was very impressed with it.
Yeah, and in terms of hidden innovation, I mean, Ian, this is based on an HBB TV app, and I know Freeview think it's an exceptional use of HBB TV. I mean, do you agree with that?
To an extent, yes. Obviously, it was very popular amongst the judges, but the the key thing that it's using here is it's not trumpeting the fact it's really HbbTV. In many other markets, HbbTV is part of the proposition that's sold almost to the consumer, that this is what a HbbTV app. But here it's something which is under the hood, and it's the things that are under the hood that they're using in an exceptional way to provide the enhanced usability for those people who need accessibility capabilities, that they're built upon the existing application to provide these enhancements. And because it's using HbbTV, it has a reuse and usage of that same application on a wide range of different displays and devices, as well as the as well as providing a good experience. It means that it can be right once used on most clients without change. So from that, it's out there and achieves the same desire that many other operators over the last 20 years have tried to do using middleware solutions, to have a right once use everywhere approach with minimum effort, and to focus on the enhanced capabilities.
Okay, and I just want to mention the other two entries. I mean, 24i, that was a great streaming app deployment, and I think the key benefit there was the idea of developing once and publishing everywhere. And then SES was focused on low latency, obviously reducing the latency for the streaming signal after satellite. And their kind of unique strength is using the satellite source signal, the IP distribution. So there's no time to comment on those, unfortunately, but I think it was a very good category, a really good lineup in this one, and it was hard work trying to decide between people, but the Freeview one was the exception. So, well, thank you very much, both of you, for your time. It was great having you on here again, and lovely speaking to you. This is the second entry where only judges could nominate an entry. So again, the people here didn't nominate themselves, but were put forward. And this is the Advertising Leadership Award, and the emphasis is on the word leadership. So let's remind ourselves of the shortlist. We have Chorus for pushing the envelope in a slow-moving market, that market being Canada. Hulu for proving the model for advertising support in streaming. OpenAP for a collaboration-led journey to audience buying. And Sky Media for driving advanced TV advertising in Europe. So the Silver Award goes to Hulu for proving the model for advertising support in streaming. And the category winner for 2020 is Sky Media for driving advanced TV advertising in Europe. And I think the factors that helped the judges to decide, well, really it was the fact that Sky have indeed led from the front in terms of data-driven, audience-based, addressable TV advertising. Only last year they announced the results of a 5-year study across 130 campaigns, and that showed the kind of success that brands and advertisers care about. So spontaneous ad recall up 10% versus linear TV. Spontaneous brand awareness up 4%, purchase intent up 7%. And then, of course, they have a competitor sales house in the shape of Channel 4, also working with them on AdSmart. Their main pay TV rival in the UK, Virgin Media, is making AdSmart available in their footprint. So the collaboration that you need is also there as well. So it was a very worthy winner. And in terms of Hulu, the killer statistic really is the fact that they make it $16.99 from a subscriber who takes their advertising supported tier, compared to $11.99 for someone who takes the tier where you don't have advertising. And I think that's an inspiration for all streaming services everywhere who are looking to monetize through advertising. Well, this is our 7th category, and it's customer premise innovation. And I'm joined by Ian Nock, who's the Managing Director and Founder at Fair Mile West. He's one of our long-standing judges. So welcome to you, Ian.
Welcome, thank you.
So just tell us, first of all, what you liked about this category.
What I liked about this category was it's all about innovation in CPE, coming through into the operator space, looking at how those operators were looking towards what the CE world has been developing in terms of the various sticks and pucks that are out there today from Amazon, from Google, and from people like Roku. And that innovation that's taken place in that CE space really starts to shine through in this category here for how operators can make best use of that innovation into customer devices, basically.
And it does look like the customer premise equipment market is becoming more diversified over time. People are pushing deeper into the connected home.
Yes, indeed. And I think it's the range of devices that are understood to be set-top boxes, so to speak. It's a lovely old name to actually mean what is actually a growing category. It's not going away as many people hope or think. That today, right now, we have many set-top boxes, as we would call them, in the home, ranging from the sticks, as we've already described, through to actually some devices that include Amazon voice features and other things like that, which are very much video processing, video display capable devices.
Okay, well, let's remind ourselves of the shortlist before we go any further. So obviously in this category, we had CommScope with their smart media device, or SMD as they call it, and United Cloud for Eon smart boxes. Mm-hmm. And for this year, 2020, the winner was CommScope with a smart media device. So what did you personally like about it?
I think what I liked is the fact that as a company, they're taking the developments in the CE space with regard to things like Amazon Alexa and Google Home, and actually bringing that into the operator space to allow that innovation that's taken place to actually support what the operator wishes to push forward, which actually is a much more inclusive offer that may include interoperability with those services from different CE device manufacturers, and basically provide a bridge between those two platforms so that the customer can actually not have to decide on one ecosystem or another. They can actually have a common ecosystem setup.
Yeah, I think the multi-device or multi-voice assistant support is really key, and we're seeing that out in the market now. And do you assume that that's the approach that most people would take in terms of supporting multiple digital voice assistants on a box?
I believe many of the operators are trying to do that, to actually bridge between the two, because I think my own home is an example in itself. I have devices from both manufacturers and I have limitations, so much so that I have to walk into a room and ask a different person, so to speak, to do something, and I have to remember which one does what. With a single device, you can actually look to actually only ask that one device to control components on both ecosystems.
Yeah, and CommScope presented this as a kind of a new category of device, and I think all the judges agreed that it was. We haven't really seen this kind of level of functionality, including sort of IoT and smart home things all brought together in one place before. I mean, yes. Do you think it is a kind of a new generation for CPE that we should be thinking about?
Yes, certainly we are. And you see it now also from a lot of operators, that even those are the big ones who can do their own development without actually involving a provider like CommScope. So it's a category that they're all developing now. You know, the Skies, the DTs, the BTs of this world, who have the funds to develop their own. But here, CommScope is providing a device that actually can be used by other, maybe smaller operators to actually have the same level, if not better, functionality.
Okay, well, Ian, thank you very much for joining us. And I'm sorry that you can't be with us physically, but we'll catch up another day.
That's fine. I'm enjoying staying in a bit.
Great, aren't we all? Well, this next category is protecting content and its value. And I'm delighted to welcome back Steve Hawley, who is Principal Analyst and Consultant at TV Strategies, and Ben Schwartz, who is the Principal Consultant at CTO Innovation Consulting. So welcome to you both.
Thanks.
So, Steve, before we get stuck into the results, we know that sport and TV sport have both been decimated by COVID. When we get out the other end, do you think that we're going to see more focus on revenue security?
Well, that's a tough question, because the amount of sports being distributed now is very little. Of course, matches around the world have been canceled or postponed. The Olympics are postponed. I think that we'll have to learn how to get back on our feet again and remind ourselves exactly how valuable sport programming is. You know, certainly just from the perspective of starting the industry again, it'll be really important. But also, sport is the most valuable category, and it's very time critical. And for an operator or a content provider to be able to detect when content is in an infringing use situation is going to be as important as ever, if not more important.
Okay, well, let's have a look at the shortlist for this category then, just remind ourselves of the entries. So this is for the protecting content and its value category. And the shortlist was Erdetto with Erdetto Control on the Go, Nagra with their anti-piracy IP blocking solution, and Verimatrix with the Verimatrix Authenticate. And the category winner for 2020 is Nagra with anti-piracy IP blocking solution. So, Ben, I know this year you thought the entries characterised some of the changes we've seen in the last few years in this part of the market. Just tell us about that.
Yeah, well, I've been involved in content protection for quite a few decades, and this kind of reminds me of what happened at the turn of the century with music. You know, it was called DRM then, and we were all thinking about digital rights management. One aspect of that was content protection, and we were supposed to do all sorts of wonderful things for content distribution. There was a very untimely word for nowadays, which was called, very fashionable then, viral marketing and stuff like that. And security was just one thing. And then as the years went on, we kind of forgot all those lovely ideas and just focused on protection, getting rid of the bad guys. And what's really exciting this year is the three entries you just mentioned. They've all turned around, and they're all talking about, you know, being more friendly, regaining subscribers, about how you're friendly to people and how you make it work so that content is better distributed. It's not just exclusively about protection and finding the bad guys. It's more positive, and I think therefore it has a greater chance. These solutions have a greater chance of moving forward.
Okay, and what stood out for you for the winning solution, the anti-piracy IP blocking?
Well, I actually stole that term, regain subscribers, from the Nagra entry. You know, that's what a lot of what their focus was on about. So two things. I'd say that what I just said for all entries, being about keeping subscribers and turning ex-pirates back into subscribers without going through the vilification phase. And the other aspect of Nagra was it was a very multi-pronged approach, because, you know, people have addressed this issue of piracy with multiple angles, and anybody who says this is the problem and this is the one way you fix it, you should turn around and find somebody else to talk to, because it is a complex solution which you need to address from multiple angles at once. And Nagra have that approach, that open approach, which I think for me was very positive.
Yeah, I saw Steve nodding to that. But Steve, I mean, give us your views on what you saw this year.
Well, looking at the three entries, first off, they're quite different from one another. And that was one observation. Another is that I was surprised there weren't more entries in this category. Piracy is emerging as kind of the next frontier of not just gaining revenue, but to protect revenue for operators. You know, we've been through several phases in this industry. That first it was getting the service to work, and then it was getting the service to work better. And then with the focus on analytics and advertising, it was how do you actually make money with the service? You know, now we're into a phase of how do we preserve the revenue that we think we're making, and how do we discover new opportunities outside of advertising? Because I think advertising has reached a saturation point with consumers. So how do you do it? You find the infringing uses, you find the leaks, you find and you hopefully you plug the leaks. And each of these three solutions in this category have their own ways of doing that without having to be punitive, as Ben said. We're trying to figure out how to reward people for behaving well rather than penalize people for breaking the law, yet we're doing both. So I think the whole discussion is advanced in that way.
Yeah, and then in terms of the sort of the hard enforcement, I know the Nagra solution can help to get specific servers blocked by ISPs. I mean, presumably they do move on. So, Steve, is it just an ongoing game of cat and mouse?
That's a good way to put it. Or, you know, you hear the term whack-a-mole. You know, one head pops up and you bang it down, and then another head pops up somewhere else. And, you know, certainly that's the case with piracy. If an infringing stream is shut down, then the pirate will just say, let's just use a different IP address, or let's virtualize the service a different way. And video providers have to stay on top of that. And if there's a way that they can block a source or block a stream that's in the process of being distributed, that's just as important as being able to block a device or to challenge a user to re-enter their password and their ID. So it is a holistic approach, just as Ben said.
Yes, and part of that holistic approach is the sort of the media monitoring and the intelligence to find those URLs and the IP addresses, which I know was part of the NAGRA solution, which I certainly liked. And Steve, you like the Adeto Control on the Go, which I know is for planes and cruise ships and public transport. That's a bring your own devices, isn't it?
Well, yes, and so that kind of highlights the fact that people are not always connected, and it's an area that I think the industry as a whole is concentrating on to some extent or another. Erdeto's pitch, if you will, is if you're without a connection, let's say you are on a train and you're in an area where there's no mobile service, that you can continue your experience. I think about service in the States where we have long distances between cities, that could be very important. Whereas in other parts of the world, you have Wi-Fi service on the train, which is, that's not universal. So in markets where that's not a universal thing, it's an important quality to have.
Yeah, and Ben, 30 seconds about Verimatrix Authenticate, because I know you like that solution.
I did. Well, as per their reputation, Verimatrix were very, very forward-thinking in the user friendliness. I mean, if you want to address a market and to be popular there, you've got to be nice to people. And their solution is very much focused on a seamless experience, on making it so that the consumer doesn't have to enter passwords, doesn't have to keep on authentication. It's about the seamlessness. And at the end of the day, those kind of approaches by operators who deploy that kind of solution will be the winning ones, to put the consumer first. And that's what the Verimatrix solution did for me. That's why I liked it.
Okay, well, that's probably a nice place to leave it. So thank you both very much indeed. It's always a pleasure talking to you, and I appreciate your time. And thanks. Okay, well, we're now looking at the outstanding contribution to operational efficiency. And I'm rejoined by Erwan Nedelek, who is the Orange Referent Expert and Senior Expert for TV Technical Solutions at Orange. So welcome back, Erwan. I'm also rejoined by Steve Hawley, who's the Principal Analyst and Consultant at TV Strategies. So, this is the category we're talking about. And Erwan, I mean, first of all, before we actually look at the entries, when you look ahead, maybe 2 years, in terms of your operational needs at Orange, and you look out at the market in general, do you see the solutions that you will need out there? Are you comfortable that the sort of vendor roadmaps will meet your needs?
Yes, honestly, yes. We see the major vendors have invested in proposing more and more cloud native solutions. So it's not obvious for anyone, for any vendors on any operators, because the learning curve is very steep. But besides that, the open source community as well is very active. So it's very interesting for us. We are more and more investing in open sources. But in practice, I think the major challenge for large telco like Orange is not really the technical solution, because they are there. It's more how you change your organization in order to take advantage of those all technical improvements.
Okay, well, let's have a look at the shortlist for this category then. And just a reminder of who was in there. So we had Kaltura with the Vodafone's international expansion using their TV platform, the Kaltura TV platform. We had Soft at Home with Eyes On QoE diagnosis solution. We had Cinemedia with Video Network Service Manager. And let's go through the results. So the Silver Award for 2020 goes to Soft at Home with Eyes On QoE diagnosis solution. And the category winner for this year is Cinemedia, Video Network Service Manager. I'll just leave those on the screen so people can can digest those. So, Steve, what was it that you liked about the winning entry, the Synamedia solution?
It would help not to be on mute.
Yeah, you're back.
Okay, go back.
Yeah, no, carry on. So what did you like about the Synamedia solution?
Well, it's probably the most important thing to me was that it's deployable in the cloud, and it's very agile. It's something where an operator can move very quickly because it's microservices. It's and also the company has, of course, quite a bit of experience with service platforms and content protection. But it's it also being cloud native. It's flexible in terms of implementation. If I wanted to have some of my service reside physically in plant or in facilities, I have the flexibility to put some in-house and some outside, and the flexibility to transition from a facilities base to a virtualized solution. So I thought all those were very important points about it.
Yes, I mean the cloud native part was very important, and I know when they can put an entire video processing workflow into a cloud native environment. I mean, what's the outcome for you as an operator if you do something like that?
Yes, the cloud native approach globally on that particular piece of the platform is what's important for us is that we can upgrade our platform easily. Just because we upgrade it small step by small step, we avoid a big bang approach, which means that we are also more confident because we make it more often, automatically. So more you are doing it, more you are confident on what you are doing. So doing small things often makes you perfect. On automation induce also doing predictable tasks as well. So it's more, yes, prediction, confident, all those aspects which are very important for operational teams.
Yeah, and one of the things in that entry, they talked about the fact that you can isolate a channel in a containerized microservice. So whatever you do to that channel, maybe it's a software upgrade, it has no impact anywhere else. I mean, does that, from an operational perspective, does that give you peace of mind? Is that something that you would appreciate?
Yes, it's a real example of proceeding small step by small step. So,
yeah, okay. And Steve, the soft at home, eyes on solution that focused on sort of individual customer experience, you know, it's a good example of a sort of a focus on quality of experience. So you can get quite high impact if you sort of invest in that area. I mean, is that a no-brainer? I mean, do you think enough operators kind of pay enough attention to sort of QoE?
Well, the meaning of QoE has changed over the years. It used to be how well could you serve a very large screen, but today when you think of consumers moving from screen to screen, they don't really think about it anymore. I might be in my family room, I'll have an HD or UHD screen. If I'm at a match or a game or at the pub, someday when we get to go back to the pub, we might have a very small screen, everybody collected around. So we're just as concerned about continuity and audio quality and good clarity, good response in the user experience on a small screen as we are on a large one. And when you're in a mobile situation, of course, you're concerned about a low bandwidth connection back to your service. And so to me, all of those things make up a customer experience. The size of the screen, the continuity of the experience, and then also the ability to respond to changes in the network. The operator needs to be able to maintain that quality, of course, from their perspective, and be able to respond to situations, challenges in their network.
Okay, well, I know we all enjoyed voting on this category. It was very hard, but some great entries there. So thank you very much, both of you, for telling us about it, and great to see you both. The next category is Lifetime Television Industry Achievement Award. And again, only judges could nominate people to be in this category. So the shortlist is Peter Doherty for his contribution to personalised content recommendations, Jacques Lemanque for contribution to multicast ABR, Nick Lodge for contribution to digital terrestrial TV and audio description, and Drew Major and Mark Hurst for their contribution to adaptive bitrate streaming. And the silver award goes to Nick Lodge for his contribution to DTT and audio description. And the category winner for 2020 is Drew Major and Mark Hurst for their contribution to adaptive bitrate streaming. And I think the judges recognised the fact that these are the people who did more than anybody to introduce ABR for use with HTTP. This was during their time at Move Networks, which was subsequently bought by EchoStar Technologies. Drew is now the CTO at Sling TV, and Mark is currently the principal software engineer for R&D at Dish Technologies. And if you look at the patents in the US Patent Office, you can see their names sitting there. One of them describes the apparatus for adaptive rate shifting of streaming content, including agent controller module. It monitors stream requests and responses and accordingly requests higher and lower quality streams. The rest, I think, is history. Obviously, ABR radically improved streaming quality. It made it a viable alternative to broadcast. It enabled the dramatic expansion of streaming, and I think the rest is history. Well, our last prize is the Videonet Grand Prix. This is where we ask our judges to look at all the category winners and then decide if there's one that deserves extra recognition. You may have heard me mention earlier that there was an entry this year that had more first places from judges than any I've seen before. So it's hardly surprising that this should also have won the Grand Prix prize. And that award goes to Freeview for their accessible TV guide for Freeview Play. So congratulations to Freeview, and indeed congratulations to everybody who won a prize today. Obviously, thanks for the continued innovation, which makes our life at Videonet interesting, obviously. And thank you again to everybody who entered and to our judges. As I mentioned at the start, you can see all the results listed at Videonet right now. It's our top story on the home page, so go to v-net.tv to see that. I'd like to tell you also that if you don't know yet, Mediatel Events are running a whole series of digital events this summer to replace physical ones. The three on the screen here are probably the most relevant to the TV market, but they do cover a whole range of media, including out of home and gaming. And on behalf of everybody at Videonet and Mediatel Events, I would like to thank you for joining us. And also just to say, we hope to see you soon, hopefully in a bar in a lovely European city. Let's hope it's Amsterdam in September. And until then, thanks for joining us.